Well, I shall have to read it because I can't remember all this. No. All right then. Oh, it's on. Dear Mr. Cameron, I am taking the unusual step of writing what I am told is called an open letter after spending the afternoon browsing Twitter with my friend Maureen, who is teaching me how to use the internet. I must say she has the patience of a saint, and thanks to her I can now send emails, go on Facebook, and play snooker with young gentlemen in Dubai in the middle of the night if I can't get to sleep. Anyway, I digress. Today, Maureen taught me about Twitter. She was explaining about hashtags. It seemed that every page we went on was covered with the phrase Cameron out. Apparently, for a few weeks it was Cameron must go, but because of something Maureen calls algorithms, that one has disappeared off the trending list, whatever that is. I don't pretend to understand. I am still at the stage where my timeline is covered with news of Stephen Fry's bowel movements, but Maureen understands these things and she said it was quite significant. Well, I was mystified. Of course, I know that all politicians have their detractors, and I am not blind to the fact that the jovial, bibulous Mr. Farage has been doing very well for himself. But I had no idea how unpopular you had become. I'm afraid I've not voted Tory since the 1970s, when Margaret Thatcher blew the opportunity to have VAT removed from women's necessary items, despite my writing to her on several occasions. And I'm afraid that was where my affiliation with the Conservative Party ended. I have a niece, Janet, who is a teacher, and I know from her that education has been going through a terribly rough time under your government. She used to teach Spanish until her school became an academy, and all the more expensive teachers were bullied out of post. Janet was told to stop teaching Spanish and start teaching English, geography, RE and maths. And she tried it for a few months, but her heart was never really in quadratic equations when she was used to bullfighting. When Ofsted next visited, she was told that her lessons were inadequate. And she personally blames Mr. Gove for many months spent on Prozac and, even more tragically, for the death of a colleague who could no longer cope with the stress of the job. Anyway, Mr. Cameron, you are probably wondering why I am sending you this message. Well, I've realised that you are probably far too busy to spend time learning how to use Twitter, so I thought I would let you know some of the awful things people are saying about what is happening under the Tories. I am sure you will want to change your ways as soon as possible once you hear the truth. Did you know that people are blaming you for the increase in mental health issues and suicides? I was really shocked at some of the things Maureen has shown me. There are many incidences of people being unable to claim benefits because of illness or because the bus was late and then not having any money to buy food for several weeks. In fact, my niece Janet eventually went back to work as a supply teacher, but the fourth day back she broke her wrist and has had to claim employment support allowance. She said the woman on the phone was very nice, but apparently she won't get any money until about January the 7th, what with Christmas coming up. Fortunately, Janet has a brother, Dickie, who is going to make sure she can eat. But Mr. Cameron, how many people don't have Dickies? From the look of you, I would imagine you've never gone more than a few hours without a square meal, and I think perhaps you should try it for your health. Janet says she doesn't understand why the government won't listen. Teachers, after all, are well placed to know what children want. She says that other European countries start formal education years later than we do and have nothing like the amount of social problems and always win Eurovision. And apparently they end up with better results too. All without Ofsted. Fancy that. Janet suspects it is all about money. She says that academies pretty much set their own rules and pay grades and somehow seem to make a lot of money by using children as what she calls cash cows. Teachers are leeching out of the profession, she says, but nobody seems to care. Perhaps it would be easier for your government if nobody could read except all the people who've been to Oxford and Cambridge. Never thought about that. Anyway, Maureen showed me all the photographs that are online as well. I was particularly struck by this one. It was taken in somebody's co-op. Maureen and I find it quite offensive. Not only the fact that we need food banks at all in the UK, Not only the fact that poor people are being guilted into adding items to their shopping trolley to feed other, poorer people, but the fact that a shop like the Co-op sees it as a business opportunity is perhaps the saddest thing of all. I'd like to ask you a few questions, Mr. Cameron, and I will be most grateful to receive a reply at your earliest convenience. Number 1. I have been waiting for over 35 years for the trickle-down effect to reach my humble layer of society. Do you have an ETA for when this is going to happen? Because it appears to me that the money is all reversed and is trickling back up to the top. According to Oxfam, Britain's 5 richest families are worth more than the poorest 20% of people in the country. That can't be right, can it? And if it is, don't you care? Number 2. And with great respect, I was very sorry to read about the loss of your son. I know you won't mind me mentioning him because you occasionally do so yourself. I am very puzzled as to how you cope with knowing about the thousands of disabled people driven to despair by the benefits system. I am stunned that you appear not to really care about them, even after your own experiences. Are you one of those narcotics who has no empathy? If so, perhaps you could use some of the money that you will be saving on food to visit a suitable therapist to enable you to get in touch with people's feelings. Number 3. Why are MPs looking at an 11% pay rise when so many people cannot afford to eat even once a day? I don't wish to labour the point, but surely you could all agree to freeze your pay for a year to show some solidarity. Number 4. Could you possibly explain to me the difference between benefit fraud and expenses overclaims? If you are confused by this question, a quick Google will suffice to enlighten you. Maureen says she is very happy to come and fiddle with your browser if needed. Number 5. What has happened to the BBC? Why do they keep forgetting to report major protests? Have you had a word? Have they forgotten that the public pay for that channel? And we want to hear what's going on in our country, even if it does mean missing an opportunity to see EastEnders once in a while. Which I wouldn't watch if you paid me, but each to their own. Fat, angry, bald men quarrelling prevent me from sleeping at night, I'm afraid, but there you go. Oh, Mr. Cameron, there are so many more things I'd like to say, but time doesn't permit. But I'll tell you this. If I were the Queen, there'd be a naughty step with your name on it at Buckingham Palace. Oh, that reminds me. If anybody who knows the Queen is watching this, I'd be most grateful if you would forward it to her, because I don't suppose she goes on Twitter either. Now, I must dash, as Maureen has promised to show me how to make Benedict Cumberbatch wallpaper, and I think it'll be just the thing to brighten up my bathroom. So please have a think about what I've said, Mr. Cameron, and I wait interestedly for your reply. Yours sincerely, Edna Stevens.